Hey peoples of YouTube! Today, rather than recreate another fairy tale in Minecraft, I decided that today we're going to be making a parody of a very much beloved romance story. So without further ado, hope you enjoy my Minecraft parody of Twilight. Deep in the forest, in a place where it literally always rains without fail, there just so happened to be a town called Spoons. Now, Spoons was an incredibly small town. There weren't very many people, and among them there was a particularly miserable little villager named Beth. Now, Beth here hated the rain because, you know, they're that summer California girl type, and they only came here because they were all like, oh my goodness gracious, my mum is going to be traveling all the time. I don't want to be a bother. So they came and moved to Spoons, a wet, nasty, green place. Now, Beth absolutely hated small town life and was absolutely devastated when they learned that there were like maybe 100 kids in their new high school, and they were all like, oh my goodness, shudder. How will I possibly survive? However, on their first day of school, when they popped into the cafeteria after sulking through a whole day of classes, they saw, oh my goodness gracious, 5 weird kids! Gasp! Now, Beth was an incredibly nosy little villager, so once they saw the 5 weird kids, they poked their neighbor beside them, named Jamie, and was all like, oh my goodness gracious, Jamie, who on earth are the 5 weird kids? And Jamie was like, oh, those are the Cuddies. They are the weird kids. We don't hang out with them. We just socially ostracize them, because why not? But Beth's snoopiness was not contained by just this small amount of information, so then they poked Jamie again and was all like, okay, well, what's their names, bro? And she was all like, okay, well, the 4 of them, their names don't really matter, but you see that one there, the really hot one? Yeah, that one's name is Edgar. And then Beth was all like, oh my goodness gracious, Edgar? Interesting. After lunch, Beth went to her science class, and when she went to go sit down in her seat, who was it beside her? It was Edgar! Oh my goodness gracious! And as Beth sat there being all like, oh my goodness gracious, I'm sat next to the weird kid. Oh, the terror. All of a sudden, she realized that Edgar was all, like, absolutely loathing on her. He was sitting there just like, I cannot believe I have been sat next to this child. And she was all like, oh my goodness gracious, there's somebody in this world that doesn't like me? I take personal offense to this. And she was extraordinarily annoyed that not everybody loved her. What horror! Later, while Beth was in the front office, she overheard that Edgar was trying to get his science class swapped, and she was all like, oh my goodness gracious, this is so offensive. I have never been more offended in my entire life. Oh my goodness gracious, there is somebody in this world who doesn't love me. Ah! And so, after taking this great offense, she decided that she would just ignore Edgar forever in a vendetta against him. However, Edgar did not show up at school the next day, nor did he show up for like the next week. I mean, oh my goodness gracious, a week? That's basically a century in a teenager's lifespan. However, one day in science class, right next to Beth, there happened to be Edgar! Edgar had returned! Oh my goodness gracious, it was insane. And all of a sudden, he was the epitome of friendliness, being all like, hi, how you doing? Great day, isn't it? Unicorns and rainbows in the sky, yippee! And so the rainbows and unicorns continued until all of a sudden, in the parking lot, a horse came running out of nowhere and tried to run over poor Beth. However, seemingly out of nowhere, there so appeared Edgar! Edgar to the rescue, yay! And he magically stopped the horse and it turned around and galloped off into the abyss, saving poor Beth from a tragic fate of trampling. However, as I have said before, Beth was a snoopy little child and was all like, how did you even get here? You were all the way over there. I didn't even know where you were. And now you're here? How did this happen? And that was a horse. I mean, there's no way that a regular villager could have turned away a horse like that. I mean, my goodness gracious. But Edgar was all like, well, you see, nothing happened. I was here the entire time. And Beth was all like, what? Excuse me, princess. No, you weren't. But then Edgar's all like, you know what, I'm gonna be a gaslighting pro now, and was all like, you hit your head, mate. You hit your head. There was nothing. There was nothing. I was here the whole time. There is nothing special about me or you or anyone. We're all just not specials in one big happy world. Be happy. And so then Beth was all like, well, okay, I assume there's something I'm hiding here, and rather than get suspicious about it, she was all just like, okay, we're gonna hide this, and lied to literally everybody that she knows that she could hide this random secret of this random stranger that she met in her science class. What the heck, Beth? And so Edgar went back to ignoring Beth until, while Beth was just in the middle of just a walk, because, you know what, even though Beth hates the rain and hates the wood and hates everything about the little town of Spoons, might as well just go on a nature walk and enjoy the loveliness of the rain. However, Beth got lost. Where is Beth? There is Beth. Beth got lost. And as she was wandering around, she so happened across this crazy guy who was all like, welp, let's just shoot people with a crossbow because I'm old-fashioned. And then, out of nowhere, there came Edgar, and he saved poor Beth, and they ran away back off to Spoons together in safety. Yay, Edgar! As Edgar walked Beth home, Beth decided that today was the day that they confront Edgar, because gosh darn it, dude, if you're gonna ghost me, just ghost me. Don't just do it on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off again. But Beth was prepared, because after the first time they had been ghosted, they were all like, you know what, no one just ghosts me, I'm too special. And so they did a whole bunch of research, because research on a computer never ever went wrong. And they were all like, guess what, dude, you're a vindicator. And Edgar was all like, oh my goodness gracious, how did you know? This is horrible, how could you possibly know? But then Beth was all like, it's okay, because you see, I dream about you, and I love you anyways, even though you're a vindicator that wants to kill me to death. Lovely. And so then the two just became lovers, just like that, because, I mean, a human and a vindicator, what better match could there possibly be? And the sun broke through the clouds, angels sang, flowers bloomed, and they were all like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And Beth was all like, oh wow, so this is so beautiful. And then the vindicator, Edgar, was all just like, well, you know what, this is like the lion fell in love with the lamb. And then Beth was all like, wow, what a stupid lamb. And then Edgar was all like, wow, what a weird lion. And then they were all like, I love you so much. We're only like teenagers, but gosh darn it, I'll be with you for eternity. I love you so much. Wee! Other love sounds. However, just as our two lovers were just getting happy, all of a sudden there appeared another vindicator. And he tried to murder poor Beth. And it was just like, oh my goodness gracious, not Beth. So then they all had a desperate race to try to protect Beth, the siblings that no one cares about of Edgar's, and Edgar himself all tried to protect Beth, racing across the country, all sorts of great jazz. However, the new Vindicator sent videos of Beth's mom to Beth, making her believe that the Vindicator had Beth's mom hostage, and Beth was all like, oh my goodness, I need to be a hero! So she ran off to meet the Vindicator on her own, and the Vindicator tried to murder her, and he almost succeeded, until, magically, Edgar reappeared, and he gained revenge on the awful other Vindicator that had tried to murder Beth. And then, once the new Vindicator was murdered, please die, there we go. Once the new Vindicator was dead, he saved Beth and brought her back from the almost dead. And then they lived happily ever after. Well, there you have it. That is my Minecraft parody of Twilight. Man, that couple is going to need some serious couples therapy once this is all over. Hope you enjoyed.